Drinks, food, art, fun. This is Hops and Spirits Kentucky.
We've got a fun episode for you this week as we stay in the hoppy world, or well, I guess last week we weren't exactly in the hoppy world with sake, but we're in the hoppy world and staying in Lexington, although they've got a few locations elsewhere as we talk with Country Boy Brewing. But before that, don't forget to check us out at hopspirits.com so you never miss an episode of the podcast or our sister podcast, The Bar Conversations, and all the fun things happening there. And remember, follow us at Hop Spirits on all social media. But now, what's pouring some news and notes from around Kentucky, Lexington's Julietta Market, a place where dozens of small business owners operate out of kiosks, will have a new home starting next year. The market has been part of Greyline Station since November 2020, and the market will operate through October. As of right now, the market's director can't say where the market will move, but they are looking at starting a new location at the beginning of next year. In Northern Kentucky, Covington restaurant that has been open for nearly 40 years closed up shop after the 4th of July weekend. Located at 529 Main Street, the location of Dee Felice Cafe currently has a sign in the window advertising its availability for rent. The cafe's social media accounts are deactivated. Opened in 1984, Dee Felice Cafe served New Orleans-style cuisine and offered live jazz performances. Bites of the Bluegrass has added a new tour in Lexington, this time at the Distillery District. Yeah, all one spot right there. You can learn bits of history while you sample selections of local cider, bourbon, German bites, and award-winning ice cream. That's a pretty good combination if you ask me. You also need to check out their other tours as well. One of Louisville's most popular and unique fundraisers is back. On August 26th, enjoy beer, food, and wine at the Louisville Zoo between 5 and 9 p.m. for a refreshed brew at the zoo with wine and food too. In addition to beer, food, and wine samples, guests can expect animal encounters, late night food bites, live music, oversized lawn games, and a silent disco. So a lot going on there. Joseph-Beth is celebrating Bookstore Romance Day with a fun date night at its Lexington and Cincinnati locations. It's all happening with Love at First Page on Saturday, August 19th, where you'll be treated to a cocktail or mocktail, dessert, a book recommendation session, and a chance to win a special giveaway. Find more information on their website and to reserve your spot. And last but not least, San Diego, California fast food chain Jack in the Box is scheduled to open its first 2 Kentucky locations in Derby City next month, but the fried chicken and tacos will keep coming. That's right. The new restaurants will be the first of up to 8 potential locations to come to the greater Louisville area. Up next is our Q&A with Country Boy Brewing and their marketing director, Pete Weiss. Enjoy.
Remember to check out Hops and Spirits on social media at Hop Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also find Hops and Spirits on YouTube and at hopspirits.com.
Joining us for our Q&A this week, he's the marketing director for Country Boy, which now has 3 locations across Kentucky. Welcome in, Pete Weiss.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you joining us, and I think it'll be a fun chat because we got lots to talk about. But before we do that, I call this the Cliff Notes. Just tell me a little bit about yourself, not too much, because like I said, got some good questions to ask here shortly.
Yeah, so been with Country Boy here going on about 2.5 years now. Been in the beer industry for going on like 12 years now, and I've known these guys since they started back in 2012, and kind of hit an opportunity coming out of COVID to grab a position with them, and it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So here I am.
Well, and it seems like things are going well for you guys over there, and like you said, you've been in the industry for a while now. But how did you get into craft beer? Because I'm always curious, because I feel like everyone's got a little bit of a different story than others.
So I got tricked into coming into craft beer. No, it's a fantastic industry and a great group of people all the way around. But I was actually working for the Lexington Legends, and I was selling tickets for them, and I developed a relationship with a guy named Nate Canavera through the Kentucky Ale Taproom there at Whitaker Bank Ballpark, as it used to be called, now Wild Health Field, and got to know him a little bit and said, hey, if there's any opportunities there, ever let me know. And so sure enough, a marketing position opened up within Alltech, and so I jumped on board, and that was with their beer and spirits division for Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale and Town Branch Bourbon, and worked there for about 10 years before this opportunity opened up with Country Boy. So that's kind of how I got into it. Before I was working in craft beer, I was definitely a light domestic beer drinker and didn't know much about the industry. And I saw it more of a job opportunity than getting to work with beer every day. And then in working in the beer industry, that's when I started to fall in love with craft beer and all that it can be, and different styles and techniques, and even the fun community that it can be about it.
Well, and like you said, you took the marketing job a couple years ago at Country Boy. What drew you to Country Boy? Because obviously, Lexington Brewing's a big group that's in a lot of places. Country Boy's a big regional player, but again, a little different atmospheres at both.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't trade my time at Alltech for anything. I learned an insane amount about not only the industry but business and marketing as well, and absolutely loved my time there. What drew me to Country Boy was coming out of COVID. They really had a plan in place of what they wanted to see. These guys have done a great job of developing out, at the time, 2 tap rooms, full production facility in Georgetown. The taproom experience both in Lexington and Georgetown was awesome. The beer is top-notch liquid, and what really drew me in was their idea of their growth strategy. It's always been slow rolling, calculated, growing the right way, not just to move a few extra cases out the door. So the plan was in place to kind of grow the brand regionally, and they hired on a sales director, a sales team, and they were just missing the marketing piece. So they kind of laid out what my responsibilities would be. A lot of freedom in terms of developing out marketing campaigns and being creative, and so that was really what drew me in, was just kind of that freedom to develop out these campaigns, and not only do it from the marketing side, but also selling it in on the key account side. So I would get to see projects from inception all the way through activation and execution in retail. So that was a really fun part of my job, and that's really what I enjoy doing most on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I was going to say that they've got a lot of exciting things going on, and like you said, they've got that 3rd location now. Why go to Louisville? Because like you said, they got the Lexington and the Georgetown. Why go to Louisville and then ending up at the Fall City Market there at the Omni?
Yeah, so always take the beer to the people, and Louisville being the most populous city in the state, we felt we were missing an opportunity not having one of our locations there. Louisville has always been a target for Country Boy. There have always been other projects that kind of took precedent over expanding into another tap room, but we finally got an opportunity with the Omni that we couldn't pass up. There's a lot of investment in downtown Louisville right now, not only with the bourbon side, but also tourism. There's 3 city blocks that we can see from our tap room down there that are fully under construction with new projects, kind of mixed use residential and retail. So there's a lot of investment going on into the downtown area of Louisville, and we definitely didn't want to miss that boat. And when the Omni came to us with an opportunity to take over one of their existing spaces, we couldn't pass it up. The space used to be an Omni operated kind of generic pizza concept. And what they realized coming out of the pandemic is that their guests and everybody coming in for conventions wanted something local. They didn't want something that was operated by the hotel that they were staying in. And so they would see their guests leaving the property and going to other local restaurants, breweries, and other venues. And so they started reaching out to local companies. So, for instance, the coffee shop in there is owned and operated by Heine Brothers, which is a local Louisville coffee shop. Conhuevos does kind of the breakfast concept in there, where they make breakfast sandwiches and they're open through lunch. They're a local company to Louisville. And so they were looking for somebody to take over the pizza concept there. And they already had 24 taps built in, installed and operating there. So it was a perfect opportunity for us. We have 24 taps at both of our other locations. So we really wanted to kind of showcase what beer that we make outside of what people in Louisville can get at, going into Kroger or Liquor Barn or something like that. We wanted to showcase, hey, this is the stuff that we make that's fun and interesting and limited, and you can only get a pint of it if you come and see us in person.
Well, and like you said, you got the food concept there, and you've got a food concept obviously at the Georgetown location and Big Hazard. As we talk today, by the time this airs, I don't. It may have already come out, but his pork belly cinnamon roll thing that he's got going. I feel like he in the kitchen. You guys do plenty of experimentation.
Oh goodness, they literally just pulled that off the smoker. As I was getting on this call, so I really hope there's at least a bite left for me to try when we get done here.
But I mean, with a guy like that, I mean, obviously you guys are also having fun with the food too.
Yeah, absolutely, and it should all be about fun. I mean, beer is fun, food is fun. You know, we don't want some generic out of a bag fryer food coming out to serve to people. We want something, we're a bunch of foodies just as much as we are, beer nerds. So we want to make sure that when people come in, there's a full experience of not only craft beer, but also something to pair that with that would bring out the flavors in the beer and showcase what we can do on a smoker.
Well, and like you said, obviously you got the spot in Louisville. Georgetown was the second spot. It's the production facility, and I think you guys have expanded it at least twice already. I mean, and you've only been there a couple years.
Yeah, so it opened, broke ground in 2016, opened in 2017, and we have since expanded, added about another 12,000 square feet of storage space, as well as space for a canning line. And actually this week we just got 8 brand new 200-barrel fermentation tanks that have been delivered and installed. They're being installed currently in the production brewery. And what that does is allows us to take that bottleneck of fermentation out of our production process. So more tanks equals more beers being produced. We're not having to fight for tank space or package something off too early. We can hold it till it's needed in the market, and that's a really big benefit with the space we have here. Is we can continue to incrementally grow the production facility here and make sure that we have the space we need in terms of tank usage and storage space for cans and kegs and all those sorts of things.
Well, I remember talking to DH a while ago now, probably 3 years ago, and he was like, to get out to Georgetown was huge for y'all because at that time, with them kind of canning and being in so many markets, they could only really make cougar bait and shotgun wedding and a couple things because the demand was so high and they couldn't do anything else. And it seems like you guys keep running into that problem, which is a good problem to have.
Absolutely. And, again, that goes back to our brewers. The guys that are actually making the beer is what allows us to do all these other fun things because they take pride in it. I hope every brewery in the state of Kentucky feels this way, but we believe we make some of the best beer in the region, and we want to make sure that people have access to it. And, if they like Shotgun Wedding, they can get Shotgun Wedding. If they want Super Premium Lager, they can get that one too.
Well, and when folks get to go to Georgetown, like I said, it is a production facility, but you also have the tap room there. You've got the kitchen that's open, I believe, all 7 days of the week. What can they expect there? Because I'm guessing it's different than the one in Louisville.
Yeah, absolutely. Georgetown is definitely a larger facility. We look at this. This is a family-friendly community gathering spot. Of course, you can always come in for lunch or dinner and grab a pint, watch a game on TV, and you can think of it as a sports bar. But in addition to that, we have events here all the time that are really based around the community. Not only bringing the community in, but giving back to the community as well. So, for instance, our beer cheese competition, we do a chili cook-off. We have a fall bazaar that's coming up in October, and where we bring in local vendors and woodworkers, people making and selling crafts, and give them an opportunity to showcase their brands here on site, and draws a really big crowd. And it's always proceeds are going back to some community organization to help out the community that we're in, whether it's Lexington, Georgetown, or Louisville. We want to make sure that we are a part of what everybody's got going on.
Well, and I believe if I'm correct too, that Georgetown spot is going to have a neighbor at some point. Am I correct out there in the industrial park?
Yeah, so they've done all of the surveying, have not broken ground yet. We don't know when the groundbreaking is going to be, but Blue Run Spirits acquired the land right across the street from us. And if you're not familiar with Blue Run, they came online probably right in the middle of 2020. and they were a non-distillery producer of Kentucky bourbon, and they have some kind of celebrity names that are out there helping them blend some bourbon together. It was so successful, and the liquid was so good that they got some investors together, and they're looking for a brick and mortar kind of bourbon trail location. So we are lucky enough that that's going to bring the bourbon trail right to our front door.
I was going to say a lot of exciting things, even just that you guys don't even have to do much to do that. And,
well, we need to step our game up a little bit. We're gonna need to. If I know bourbon money, that's going to be a big money tourist attraction, and we need to be ready to match that.
And I think you guys have a good start too. And when you think of where it all started, that OG Taproom in Lexington, it's definitely different than the other spots, because it's like all the initial spots for a brewery. I think they kind of fit the spot. They build it to what they've got. And can you talk a little bit about it? Because I feel like it's a fun place to see, because it's a little different than all the others.
I love Lexington. We all love Lexington, but I love Lexington personally because that's where I first got introduced to the brand. I remember going in there day one when it was a dark hole in the wall. There was no light, no windows. The walls were painted brown with other people's neons all over the place that they had collected from garage sales and such. So since then, we've come quite a long way in Lexington, and we've expanded the patio, put that garage door in, so there's a lot of natural light in there now. It's a great atmosphere for a brewery in a downtown location. We're walkable to Rep Arena, to UK's campus, and so really is a cool spot to see a gathering of people looking for a craft brewery experience.
Now, correct me, 2 days a week the food truck there is open. How's that going?
No, we've gone to 7 days a week now. So we finally kind of got over the hump of some staffing, and now we've got the food truck open all the time. So just dinner during the week, and then on the weekends we're lunch and dinner on the food truck. So you can get a delicious smash burger, some nachos, fries and tots, anything like that. So definitely a pub food kind of a menu there.
And how have you guys been able to grow? I mean, I know you kind of said it's been slow and steady, but I also know DH, and I feel like sometimes someone's got to rein him in at times to make sure he doesn't get too far ahead of himself. But how have you guys been able to sustain that growth and be able to do cool things?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'll send all the credit back to our brewers making incredible liquid. Our goal, at least my goal on the marketing side, is just to get a beer into people's hands. If we get a beer in people's hands and they taste it, we know they're going to come back for another 6-pack down the road somewhere. So that really is just spreading the good word of beer and getting that liquid out to people. DH always says, and he said this 100 times since I started here, is he wants to sell beer on the moon one day, and so it definitely is. We always have an idea towards growth and what that next step is, but we want to make sure we do it right. We don't want to open up a new market somewhere and then have to short our beer orders for here locally. We want to make sure that we build out the capacity first, make sure that we have a marketing plan in place to go into new markets, and those sorts of things are really important to be successful in the growth and continue the trends.
Well, and I was going to say, I mean, that you can tell me, I don't want you to get in trouble, with your bosses there, but what expansion down the road, whether that's tap rooms or distribution, new markets, because, I know you guys have been able to grow your footprint and be in many states now, but I mean, what's kind of the plan there?
Yeah, so I don't think Louisville will be our last tap room. We'll definitely always keep our eye out, but again, we want the opportunity to be right, and we're willing to sit back and wait for that opportunity. We're not going to try to force something into a location that is not right for the brand or right for the community that it's going into. So we'll sit back and make sure that we pick out the right opportunity for the next one that opens up. I think our director of tap rooms, Jason Hammond, he's still got his head spinning on opening this one in Louisville, and he doesn't have his feet underneath him yet, so we can't throw too much at him too soon. And then as far as distribution, we just opened up Florida back in November of last year, so we're just over 6 months of being in Florida. We opened up Indiana just before that, so full state Indiana all the way up to the lakes. Next month, we're opening up full state distribution in Ohio. You could only get it in Cincinnati as of right now. And then next month, we will kind of kick the doors open for the full state of Ohio. And I think at that point, sit back and let 2023 take us where it takes us, and make sure that our guys in the back can produce the right amount of beer and the quality that we've come to expect, and make sure that all of that goes smoothly before we go into any new areas there. But we've got some ideas on what the next steps are, and we've had some conversations with some people. But we want to stay kind of in our region. We want to make sure that we're filling out distribution where we currently are seeing success. So Tennessee, I think, is a big target for us to get that fully up and running. We've got East Tennessee right now, but filling out the whole state is best for sales and distribution anyway, as long as we can be full state anywhere we can be.
Well, and I was going to say, you mentioned you've got over a decade of experience in the industry. How much has it changed? Because there for a while the goal was to expand everywhere you could in an instant.
Mm-hmm.
Now it seems to be changing to stay right where you are, or kind of that brew pub taproom extension, and kind of get the brand going. I mean, it feels like so much has changed in even just a short amount of time.
It's changed so much. When I first got into the industry, it was in the height of the craft beer boom, and I mean, everybody was waiting in line for these one-off barrel-aged stout releases, and there were probably 5 or 6 breweries in the country that just got all the press, and they were all being talked about, and barrel aging was a thing, and it was expand, and all of these distributors were super excited to pick up new brands and new SKUs, and then all of a sudden, probably about 2016, 17 time frame, all these distributors started to feel that pinch and started to kind of narrow brands and narrow SKUs to just a few flagships. And this past year was all about flagship. Everybody wanted to push what brought them to the dance, and we've always been like that. Cougar Bait and Shotgun Wedding are 1 and 1A for us. We want to make sure that those 2 beers are everywhere that Country Boy can be. So it's changed unbelievably. We've gone from big old barrel aged stouts, and now we're talking about craft breweries making light lagers and trying to mimic Mick Ultra and those sorts of things. The biggest thing for me is when we opened in 2012, the people that were coming into the tap rooms were young professionals, freshly graduated students, kind of living off of that UK theme. UK won the national title in 2012, so that was a huge win. Everybody kind of has these memories of being in the tap room for that championship game. Well, those people, it's now 12 plus years later. Those people have kids and careers and wives and husbands and jobs, and so there's not that same, or that same, those same people are in a different demo now. And so, they still have an affinity for our brands, and we still see the sales in retail stores. But, we've got to figure out a way to kind of adjust our tap rooms to stay up with those trends of what people are looking for, what people are drinking, what people are enjoying, and deliver it to that next generation of craft beer drinker.
I was going to say it's a challenge that all breweries have to face, and it's interesting to see what each does. And one thing that I love that you guys do, though, is the names. You mentioned Shotgun Wedding, Cougar Bait. How much fun is it to see to come up with those names, and are you allowed to come up with those names too, or is that a hidden room in the back?
We get some say in the names, but a lot of times the names are coming from the brewers themselves that are actually coming up with the recipes. So, we do have a lot of fun with the names anymore. This was, again, back in 2012 when Cougar Bait and Shotgun Wedding came out. But anymore, it's really tough to find a beer name that's not already trademarked and being used somewhere. So, we try to, we still try to have some fun with it. We try to make it Kentucky themed, music themed. We just released Hillbilly Hustle for the first time in partnership with Wes Brown, who is an author here locally in Lexington and runs Apollo Pizza. But he wrote a book called Hillbilly Hustle about a pizza entrepreneur that gets into some shady dealings. And so when we saw that book, we said, that's a great beer name. And so reached out to him. He was very happy to see his artwork and his name on a can of beer. So that was a lot of fun to come up with that one. But the Legend of Woolly Swamp is a song by Charlie Daniels. So we wanted to make sure that we stay in that same country boy style vein in any names that we come up with.
Well, I was gonna say I was thrilled to see Hillbilly Hustle out in stores because I've always gone to the tap room the last couple of years to get it because I've known Wes, but also that's just a delicious beer.
Yep, absolutely.
So I was really excited to that, but I also love, like you talk about when you're coming up with names, keeping that Kentucky theme, that country theme, like the IPA series with kind of going down to the gorge and naming them after climbing routes and trails and things like that. I think that's just clever and keeps it simple, but also a cool story with it too.
Yeah, so one of our owners, Evan Coppage, who's kind of the director of our brewing operations, he loves rock climbing. And when I say loves rock climbing, he is addicted to rock climbing. And so...
Has he gotten you out there?
No. I did some rock climbing when I was much, much younger and much, much lighter in weight, and I don't think I could lift myself anymore. But he was down in the gorge and found some really cool names. And, right when we were looking at doing a hazy IPA for the first time, when that style was kind of just peaking, he climbed a route called Witness Citrus. And, he thought, well, that'd be a really good beer name, especially for a citrus forward IPA. And so he kind of went through all of the hiking routes down there and found a list of about 25, 30 names that would be great for beer names. And so we've gone through, I think, 9 of them so far. And right now we've got Prime Directive on the shelf, which is the name of a climbing route, but also the Star Trek folks really are loving us for naming a beer Prime Directive. And then next up is a beer called Defy Tradition. And so, with that specific one, it's kind of a unique take on hopping that beer because it's kind of a different take on the hazy IPA's traditional hopping style. So we try to have the name fit the beer as well.
Well, they've been great. I've enjoyed each of those. And what else is coming up here in 2023? We're a little over halfway through. What else is coming that people can look forward to, and what other fun things are you guys getting into?
Yeah, so today we just canned our Oktoberfest beer. So, starting August 1st, we'll have Oktoberfest on the shelf for a couple months through the beginning of the fall season. We've got a brand new, the recipe hasn't been finalized yet, but we've got a brand new seasonal coming down the line starting in November 1st. It's going to be a coffee-forward stout that we're going to put into cans. So still working through kind of a recipe, but the idea is to have a really big latte forward flavor to it. And then let's see here. Yeah, Defy Tradition will be coming out next month in cans. Evan has a million projects going on in Lexington, so we'll definitely have some taproom only releases. Right now we've got a dry hopped Kolsch, a couple double IPAs, an amber lager that's absolutely delicious right now. So, there's always new beers and fun things coming out. We'll open up Ohio next month. So if you have any listeners up in Cleveland or Toledo or Columbus, they can start getting our beer in about a month from now. And then just as many events as we can fit in. We've got so many beer festivals and community events. And then, of course, our Oktoberfest, our Fall Bazaar will be out here in Georgetown. Louisville is just is cranking right now. We've got a great guy on site named Kyle. So if you go to the Louisville Taproom and make sure you ask for Kyle, he loves to talk about beer, sports, or anything else that's going on there in town. So just trying to have as much fun as we can while trying to push as much beer as we can.
I mean, that sounds like a good time to me.
We enjoy it. We're very, very lucky in the industry that we're in, that we get to have a beer and sit around and talk about funny beer names and try to find one that sticks.
Well, Pete, I appreciate you sharing the country boy story with me and some of the cool things. And I won't keep you any longer, so you can go get one of those random things that Big Hazard decides to come up. I don't want to hold you back any longer.
A pork belly cinnamon roll. So he takes a pork belly, rolls it up with some brown sugar, and smokes it for about 6 hours, and then it comes out the other end with a maple butter glaze on top of it. Apparently it's amazing. So look out for that for a breakfast event coming up sometime soon in Georgetown. So that'll be a sneak peek of a new dish for us.
I love it. And Pete, I appreciate the time, man.
Hey, absolutely.
Find more from Hops and Spirits at hopspirits.com.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.